Revolution, guns really changed very quickly. They became quite quickly out of date. So, start of the Victorian era, they're still using the flintlock musket. So, again, this is the British Brown Bess flintlock. This is a naval pattern, and then the one there is a French Charville. The French in particular didn't like to throw anything away, so you see this is it's a flintlock smooth bore musket, muzzle loading with a ball. They kept those right the way through the percussion era, so we've got percussion guns here. So that's the British Enfield percussion rifle musket. The French, they still had lots of Charvilles, so they decided to convert them. So you see this one here has had the pan cut out and filled in and was converted to percussion. They didn't stop there. Still, they then reconverted it to a breech loader. So this gun started off as a flintlock muzzle loader and ended up as a breech loading cartridge gun. British, we didn't tend to convert the flintlocks, they were obsolete. We went to the Enfield rifle musket. So they were still, guns then were still used in different lengths. So we've got here the 3-band. So that's an infantry pattern Enfield. It's got 3 barrel bands. And this is a 2-band. So 2-band were naval versions, they were cavalry, and they were also artillery. So they were called a carbine, but they were colloquially known as 2-bands because they've got 2 power bands holding them together. Right, we'll show you a bit of a difference between firing them before we move on to the next one. So, do you want to load that? Okay.
Friends, it's telling me that just down the road there's turning like that nature
Shake it and shut it, shake it, shut.
I might go and sit down in your corner.
This is a slow way of loading it. In service they would have had paper cartridges. So the paper cartridge contained the cartridge, the charge and the bullet. So what they would do is they would put it in the mouth with the bullet part, they would bite the bullet. So you've heard of the expression biting the bullet. So they would bite that off. They would actually prime the pan first, and then they would tip the rest of it down the barrel. They could then use the cartridge as a wad to push that down. They would then take the ball and they would spit it into the barrel and then ram the ball down. So this is a bit slow because we don't have cartridge. So we're going to prime in the pan. Pan will be closed, right? Okay, so bring the gun back to full cock, and now it's ready to fire. Bring it, just hold on fire. Okay, so that's the flintlock smoothbore musket. So this was done in trained hands. They could fire 3 rounds a minute, but that really takes some doing. I say when the French, they went from the Charville to a percussion version, and then went to the breech loading they called this a system tabatier. This is not a tabatier, this is a bit more of an unusual version. The tabatiers are very similar to the British versions, they hinge from the other side, but this is one we've acquired. So this uses a cartridge, so you can see how much easier it is to fire, load and fire. Cartridge in, close the breech, back to full cock, and then fire. Yeah, it's on full cock, on your shoulder and fire. So that's a misfire. So these guns are old. This is a conversion originally from a flintlock musket. So we've got to now wait ideally 5 minutes before we open the breech. Bring down, point to the ground, go. It probably won't go now, but we just have to make sure.
So is that because it might be like smouldering or something?
It could be. It more than likely with an old gun like that, it's probably a misstrike. It's like I say, it's a conversion from a flintlock. It wasn't perfect. The firing pin may not hit exactly right in the right place every time. Right, while Gareth's holding that, you're right there, Gareth.
Yeah.
So the next step was the percussion cap. So the gun is muzzle loaded, same as the flintlock. But instead of the flint, they developed a percussion cap. So there was a composition that when struck would create a small but intense flame. So these little caps, copper caps, they put a bit of that composition in the cap, and that would then fit on the nipple. So now you've got a sealed system, so it's sealed from the weather because you've got a cap on it. You could drop that onto the cap, you could hold it on half cock. It's just made them a lot quicker to fire, a lot more reliable, a lot faster to fire, and you're not going to get water in the gun.
Right, so what kind of year would that have been?
These were, well, they were 1853 came in. They were in service till sort of 1870s, 1880s. Some of these guns were overlapped, so when a gun was no longer front line, they would drop it back to second line service. And also there was another one since the Indian Mutiny. There was always a British Army policy that the Indian Army always had the previous iteration of the firearm. So the idea was, if they ever had to put down another mutiny, that the British Army had better guns than the Indian Army, that possibly might mutiny again. Okay, safe open it now, go. Gareth opens that, we'll have a look and see why that didn't fire. Yeah. And that's a misstrike, so it's caught the primer but not hard enough to set it off. Okay, so it hasn't actually caught the primer square on, it's just nicked it. So that's the problem with the firing pin. It may go again, but something we'll have a look at. It's an old piece of weaponry. So we'll demonstrate now the loading and firing of the Enfield. This is also a gun that was used in the essentially in the American Civil War. So again, this in service would have been loaded with a cartridge, but we'll load it with from the flask. So instead of a cartridge, so you're going to ram the wad down. Okay, restow the ramrod. So then they're going to be brought onto half cock. You want a cap on there?
Sorry, yeah.
Percussion cap goes on. So then back to full cock, onto your shoulder and fire. So that's the Enfield rifle musket. This was, as I said, was a rifle. It was the first rifle that was issued en masse to the British forces. They had a flintlock, various flintlock rifles, but they were only issued generally to sharpshooters. This was the first mass issued one. Like I say, it was issued still in different lengths. This is a 3-band, that's a 2-band. Then we move on. The European armies decided that they were going to bring in brass cartridges. So instead of a paper cartridge and a separate ignition system, it was now all built in one. So you've got the percussion cap built into the end of the cartridge, you've got the powder and your ball.
Alright then folks, so here we have our Bren gun position and overlooking the camp, and we've got this fabulous Bren gun here, it's brilliant, and got your 30-round magazines, and the Bren gun was 303 caliber, which was a rimfire cartridge, the same cartridge as the Enfield 303 rifle, the number 4, and this is pretty good. Got an authentic bit of canvas here over the top of us, and got this nice what they call a lafette, which is what the Bren gun sits on. It's for a role called sustained fire, so concentrated fire for long periods of time. It will be very tiresome for a gunner to have to hold the weapon on target, so this is why we would put this lovely Bren gun on this lafette, or tripod as some people would call it. Right then folks, so we'll just have a quick look round at some of the living history display.
Okay. It's just a beautiful I like the Lee Enfield, but the action of it where you have to force that last bit.
Yeah,
The spring
it looks
to-
quite a weak design, if you ask me.
Whereas the rotating on this.
Yeah.
Here we have some Russians. Just the thing for a rifle on the eastern front. Parker, and it's got this fabulous Gaz truck, which is amazing. This is basically the Russian Jeep. Gaz was a Russian company that produced vehicles for the Russian army right the way through World War II, and I think they also made trucks as well, ordinary civilian trucks. But it's absolutely great. This very sort of Russian in its own unique way. Fantastic. And here in the museum we've got some bits and pieces on display here as well, and this looks like a Lewis gun, but I'm probably mistaken because this is the Russian version of it. And got some great stuff for sale in here, folks. Really good stuff. And here we have this lovely ancient siege mortar, and this is pretty nuts, folks. You can see inside this, it's got this whopping great barrel, and I think this only had a range of about 100 yards, but it would be quite a nasty payload that would be delivered. You can see you've got some ashes in the bottom there, and not really the sort of thing you want to be moving around very quickly, folks. It's quite a lump, quite a heavy duty piece of kit. And then we've got the fuse hole there for lighting the fuse. And we've got some descriptions there on the barrel. Fabulous. But yeah, as we said, this is firepower through the ages, folks. So it's quite possible that they might shoot this thing again later on. So when they do, we'll try and catch it.
You have to stand back, because you haven't got earplugs
Okay,
in.
alright.
Please.
Anyway,
Okay, have a care,
Right.
firing the gun.
nice naval gun.
Thank you very
Brilliant.
much. And if you're worried about your hearing, hands in front of your ears, cuff in, just open your mouth. Yeah, if you wanted to move round a little bit further that way, you can see in the gun pit and see the gun being loaded